Does our government know more about UFOs than it is willing to tell? Many UFO researchers are convinced that it does, but there may be good reasons for an alleged cover-up. George Knapp has more on that in the conclusion of our series, UFOs, the Best Evidence.
Mary Ruth, Gary, the long-awaited conclusion to this series. Some people get very angry about this alleged cover-up stuff. They say, this is America, we have a right to know if it's true, without realizing what they may be asking to hear. Tonight, we examine a few additional UFO cases, some intriguing videotapes, and a couple of very big what-ifs.
Without a doubt, the photographic evidence in this case is by far the best documented evidence I've seen in 40 years of field investigations into the UFO phenomenon. The addition of the videotape tended to corroborate the photographic evidence and vice versa.
Bob Exler's reference is to a series of UFO sightings in Gulf Breeze, Florida, sightings that are among the best documented in UFO history. The Gulf Breeze incidents have been publicized on national television and in a new book. The evidence? Dozens of color photographs of odd craft, videotape of those craft, photo analysis by UFO investigators and outside experts, alleged UFO landing sites, and polygraph and psychological tests conducted on the key witnesses in the case. There are skeptics who argue that such evidence can be rigged, but what's important in this case is that more than 150 people, including public officials, also saw the same UFOs on several occasions at different locations. Coincidentally, perhaps, the reports of the UFO sightings were soon followed by the arrival of advanced military radar equipment in and around Gulf Breeze.
The military interest in the Gulf Breeze case is quite an interesting phenomenon within itself. They have reported at the Pensacola Naval Air Station a significant amount of radar signatures involving the UFO activity there. They have deployed ready alert teams. The air and sea rescue squads and the helicopters have gone out on several occasions.
None of this means diddly to science, and in a sense, how can you fault the scientists? The UFO phenomenon isn't like botany or zoology. The objects of study don't stick around for observation. They're fleeting, here 1 minute and gone the next.
If anyone would bring in some little green men and they would run around on my conference table, I would consider that convincing. See, but absent that kind of physical evidence, I remain very skeptical.
Much of the evidence that does exist is of uncertain value. This videotape of objects sighted over Las Vegas is the subject of much local speculation. Some say it shows UFOs. Others think it looks like a couple of kites. At least one person insinuates it's a hoax. This tape, obtained from Nippon TV, shows a UFO that seems to just disappear. If it is technology, it's technology we don't have. It's small wonder that even ufologists can't agree on where the alleged aliens are from or what they might want. Jacques Vallée thinks they may be from other dimensions instead of other planets. Bud Hopkins thinks the aliens are here to interbreed with humans because their species is in trouble. Whitley Strieber says the visitors may be interested in our souls. Whether or not there really are alien visitors, evidence does exist to show our government hasn't been entirely truthful about the topic. Documents have been withheld or destroyed. Agencies have lied about their investigations. Other agencies have spied on UFO groups and researchers. Journalist Bill Moore asked the FBI for his own files. After a year of legal wrangling, the feds released only 6 of the 61 pages, and the 6 pages they did release were heavily censored. Stan Friedman had a very similar experience. Bob Lazar is still fighting to obtain his records. This reluctance by the government to even discuss UFOs became evident in our talks with an FAA employee. In the way of UFOs, I mean, people wonder why we don't pick them up on radar.
I guess I have to say I'm not in a position to respond to that.
You're not supposed to talk about it?
That's correct.
Behind the scenes, government agencies sing a different tune. This is a reproduction of a chapter from an Air Force textbook written for use by Air Force cadets. It states that UFOs have been around for thousands of years, that most reports are from reliable witnesses, that there is evidence they are of alien origin, and that the topic is worthy of in-depth study. When ufologists found out about the chapter, it was pulled from the curriculum. Why?
I think, in a nutshell, that the government painted itself into a corner about UFOs for very legitimate reasons 45 years ago. And I think the paint's still wet. They don't know what to do about it.
Could the government have legitimate reasons for maintaining a cover-up? Many of the same investigators who've complained loudest about it say yes. Timothy Good thinks alien technology, now in the hands of the U.S. government, is so potentially important to the military that it should be withheld.
It was classified higher than the hydrogen bomb back in 1950, and it's still classified way, way above top secret. And that's perfectly valid, in my opinion. It's rather like the hydrogen bomb. I mean, I think we're entitled to know that it's there, the effects that it has on us, but I don't think we're entitled to know how to build one.
There may be other reasons for the secrecy. In 1960, NASA published a study that hypothetically pondered the effects of human contact with an alien civilization. The study concluded such contact would result in anarchy, the complete disintegration of human society, institutions, religions, governments, unless it was handled in a very gradual manner, with the public being slowly conditioned to accept it. Otherwise, panic.
If you go on the air and say, the age of the world is over, tomorrow we die, I suppose so. But I think that the government's too smart to do that. I think it has to be done properly.
What is the proper way? How does a president tell the public the government's been lying all these years, that beings from beyond are really here? The difficulty of such a pronouncement may itself be a reason for non-disclosure.
What politician in his right mind would want to get up in front of a national press conference and say,
"My fellow Americans, I come to you before you tonight with an announcement of great importance. Despite all our denials, flying saucers do in fact exist."
We don't really know what their intentions are. We don't really know whether they're going to be friendly or not.
They can fly circles around the best aircraft we have in flight.
We are unable to duplicate any of the metals found on the several craft we have recovered, nor are we able to figure out how they are propelled.
We do know they can paralyze anybody they want to at will, take them into their craft.
We do not know if they represent a threat, but we know that they're here and there isn't a damn thing we can do about it.
We have really nothing positive to say about that. Thank you and good night.
One other note. In our reports about Bob Lazar, we told you he worked on flying saucers at an area called S4 and that federal agents had done a background investigation on him for his clearance. One of those agents was named Mike Thigpen. Thigpen is not an FBI agent, as we reported, but according to informed sources, he does work for something called the Office of Federal Investigations, which does most of the security clearance work for the test site. The OFI is not listed in the phone book. The Department of Energy spokesperson we spoke with didn't have a number for them either, nor did OFI's Washington office. Yet the OFI is real, and it's here. We just can't find it to confirm if a Mike Thigpen works there or if anyone else at OFI might have investigated Bob Lazar, but we're going to keep trying.
What about people? A lot of people have been calling, asking for information on all this story.
A lot of people have been calling. We have prepared a free handout with a lot of names and numbers and addresses where people can write for information and tapes and books and things like that, other material. Just write to us here at the station, KLAS TV, Post Office Box 15047, or if you can't write this down, the address is in the phone book, and send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and we will get something out to you in the mail in a couple of weeks.
You went into this believing that UFOs exist.
Well, I went into it wanting to know, I'll say that.
Have your feelings changed? What have you come away with now after a year of working on this?
As you might have picked up from that piece, I think I'm a little more sympathetic to the government's position. I mean, some of the material that we have seen in the course of this investigation, I think would be very unsettling and upsetting to the public. It's like one Air Force officer put it, too, the same Air Force officer who for a while was in charge of the Project Blue Book. He said, our job in the Air Force is to identify, intercept, and destroy aircraft and unidentified aircraft over the United States. Now, we can't identify these things, we can't intercept them, and we certainly can't destroy them, so really, this is a job for science, not for the military. I think what we can say about this is there is a body of information, there is some kind of a phenomenon here that can't just be written off. The government is sitting on a certain amount of information that it isn't letting us know about, and I don't think the topic has been fairly treated by science or journalism. It would be interesting if we could have a much larger investigation by someone else.
A lot of interest there.
Thanks,
Thank you,
George.
George.